Everyone, at this time, I will call the June 6, 2022 meeting of the Harnett County Board of Commissioners to order. And before we do our pledge and invocation, I don't know how many people are aware, but 78 years ago today, we invaded the beaches of Normandy, and so today is known as D-Day. And I'd like to request that we take a moment, pause for a moment to remember the service that those brave men and women provided us. Amen. At this time, I want to ask Commissioner Johnson to do our pledge and have our invocation.
Post the flag, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You remain standing, please, for invocation. Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning as a citizen in the county board. We understand that there's so many problems in this world. We recognize that there's a downturn in morals resulting in sharp increase of violence all over the world. We have so many problems in the United States, Father. We just ask that you address those with us and help us to find ways to solve these problems. Father, Ukraine has so many problems with people being killed there every day, innocent civilians. Father, our economic situation and the stock market downturn is just getting worse. Gas prices, food prices, just going to get worse and be shortages. Father, we ask for your help to cure the problems that we have here that are curable by us. If not, would you please step in and help us with these things? Everybody is affected by these situations. Bless everybody in this room, Father, and their families. Just give them good health and happiness. Help the commissioners on this date make the right decisions for the citizens of Harnett County. We ask all these things in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. All right. Do we have any additions or deletions to the public agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Second. Have a motion and second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? All right, the agenda is approved as published. At this time, we will move the consent agenda. Any additions or deletions to the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries unanimously. At this time, we'll have our public comment period. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes, a total of 30 minutes. And I, again, remind everyone to please turn off all your electronic devices, and please, no personal attacks. Address the board in a professional and dignified manner, and we will move forward now. Ms. Ernestine Johnson.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ernestine Johnson, and I live in Bun Level on Sandifer Road. And I've lived there since 1997, 98, somewhere around there. My property is adjacent to the 900 block and directly next to, excuse me, what is dubbed the big house. Now, our community is constantly inundated with violence, loud music, fights, shootings, all-night parties, and sadly to say, someone was recently killed on that property that the big house is on. A few months ago, Friday night, there was another of many drive-by shootings targeting the big house. Yesterday, while we were trying to enjoy some family members in our yard and enjoy our garden, then we heard another barrage of shootings in that area from the big house. Now, this is something that we're constantly having to deal with. We're afraid for the children that live in this community. We're afraid for the senior citizens and those who are innocent, who have nothing to do with that house. We need your help. We don't quite know what that help is going to look like, but we certainly hope that that help will begin with our police officers citing these owners, this property owners, for violating the noise ordinance that you commissioners have enacted into law. We want our police officers to understand what our children, what our youth are going through in that area by issuing those citations. I believe that if a person's pockets are involved with what their behavior is about, then I believe that sometimes it would be able to curtail what's going on. You stated in section 2 concerning the purpose that it is to protect, preserve, promote the health, safety, welfare, comfort, and prosperity of the citizens of Harnett County through regulation of the production and emission of noises or amplified speech and music or other sounds that tend to annoy, disturb, or frighten the county residents. We, the citizens of Harnett County, need your help. We hope that you will understand what we're going through in Bun Level at this time. Thank you for your.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Mr. Paul, Ms. Johnson, do you have the address on that house?
We know that it is the 900 block of
Okay.
Sandifer Road.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
I just want to say good morning to the commissioner and to everyone in the building. I just want to say, I just want, on behalf of my family and the honest citizens in Bun Level, we do thank the county sheriffs for their hard work because they're whenever they come out there, they are they need more help because they are coming out there one in a car and when you are driving up to a club or a disaster, you need more people, and I know for a fact, and everybody in this room can agree with me that Hornet County is booming in everybody are coming from up north, out west, and we need to support Sheriff Coates, giving him a more budget in the money, more money to recruit more deputies, and they are doing a great job, and we should honor them by giving them more help because the population is increasing and the sheriff, they need to increase. And on the second issues, could you imagine all y'all being at home on your couch and you're looking at TV and like you just hear loud noise all the time and you hear the loud noise but you can't hear your TV. Could you imagine just being in bed, having people running across the yard shooting? And hey, you know what? We have called the sheriff so many times, and they have responded the best way they can. But I know that they can respond more better if they had a bigger budget to support the community. And I would even get to a point to request that they will build something like a police substation in Bond Level. You know what, where I live at, it's like of 421. That is how many cars goes in our highway, and it ain't many people, and so you got shooting all the way around, but where is social service for the little kids and stuff, and we just need help, and we plead this will not just only be in your mind, but it will be in your heart. That God will hold you responsible for the next death that occur in Bond Level because that in the past have refused to help the people of Bond Level, and I know we got a great men and women that God have blessed to lead this county into the next generation. And we want a town in Bond Level that people would be glad to come to.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Mr. Rivas?
Good morning. Concerning the recent property tax reevaluation, during the, I don't know what you call it, when the guy was excusing why they did it, there was a young man who stood right over here and told the taxpayers, your taxes may go down. The commissioners haven't set the property tax rate. I would like to know when in the history of Harnett County the taxes ever went down. In 1990, this county had a population of 67,000. We're now at just under 135,000. The income, as far as taxes, should have doubled. But every 5 years, you guys want more and more money. And I see now, congratulations, the 5 of you have more security than the average school in the United States. Aren't you proud? Or are you that scared? Alexander Hamilton, writing as Publius in the Federalist Papers, number 28, wrote, if the representatives of the people betray their constituents, there is then no resource left but in the exertion of that original right of self-defense, which is paramount to all positive forms of government, and which against the usurpations of the national rulers may be exerted with infinitely better prospect of success than against those rulers of an individual state. He further goes on to say, the citizens must rush tumultuously to arms, without concert, without system, without resource, except in their courage and despair. The wave of violence in this country, this epidemic, has got all these politicians in Washington talking about gun control, gun control, gun control. What's going on in this country is a reason to arm yourself. Who do they want to disarm? Innocent people. They have no plans and no way to disarm criminals. There's just some of the stuff going on in this country, and it starts here in the county. Okay, 1 minute remaining. Jim Bergen, who I guess he doesn't care about Harnett County. He never comes to these meetings anymore, except a glad hand. He's got a building in Anger that was just reappraised at $556,000. It's you politicians' fault that they're jacking these taxes up. The city fathers of Anger want to spend $18 million for a new building. They found out that was unfeasible. They just offered Bergen $3.5 million for a building that not 3 months ago was appraised at 1/7 of that. And I guarantee you, in 5 years from now, that redhead lion little sucker is going to be standing here pointing out, oh, here's a building that was appraised at $500,000 that sold for $3.5 million. As politicians, you people are supposed to be representatives of the government, and y'all are a joke. You don't represent us. You don't care. You don't care. It's just sad. And what's going on in this country today? A good part of it is a direct result of y'all's actions or inactions.
Mr. Longman?
Yes, my name's Alan Longman, 234 Hamilton Road in Bond Level. The reason why I want to speak, listening to the people before me, is that the crime has increased quite drastically around this area. And I do believe it's the buck stops at the top and that they could do much better. Other areas are having problems in other counties, and they are handling the problems that they have, especially if you know where the location is that you're having the problems stemming from. I believe he could do a lot more than that. My main reason for talking tonight is because I had to feed 3 people I found passed out on the side of the road in different areas because they could not have the strength to go on. So I had to feed them food and get going 3 separate times. And I look around me and I see a lot of starving people all over. We had some problems where 2 people in the trailer were sick and got ill. One had to go for dialysis, couldn't have the means to go to dialysis. A lot of people are starving because they can't make it to a food bank, or the food bank needs to make it to them. You need to have Meals on Wheels back together, feeding the people that need to be fed in some way of getting food to them. This is a little ridiculous when you find 3 separate people laying on the side of the road, and they're young, they're not old. All right. The other thing is, I think you disassemble the volunteer working advocacies here to help the poor. I think you do better by having the county work better hand in hand with these organizations. Yeah, I know they're not perfect, but you still have to have a means in which they can vent the people properly and get them to where they're supposed to be. Individuals have been paying from their own pocket. They can't do that forever. It's a temporary solution. You need to have the county come in, be able to come in to help the nonprofits do their job. They've been disassembled more or less and pushed aside the past couple of years. They need to be reestablished in a manner that is acceptable for everybody so that they can get help. I think the problem is going to get so much worse in the next few months. And you might as well start now having a structure or some sort of scaffolding between the two. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Elizabeth Longman?
Elizabeth Longman, 234 Hamilton Road. When you quote something, it is prudent that you cite the source in case you are charged with plagiarism. The people up here talking about their lives and what's going on in Bound Level. They're talking about accountability. They're talking about community engagement. And they're talking about enforcement reform. We need to restore, I'm going to read a quick paragraph. We need to restore accountability, transparency, and integrity to the Harnett County Sheriff's Office. Harnett County is in great need of law enforcement reforms. In recent years, Harnett County citizens have experienced an alarming increase in personal injuries, fatalities, and litigation settlements. This is stemming from the improper, unjust exercise of powers by members of the Harnett County Sheriff's Office. Reginald Watson is running for sheriff of Harnett County and wants to enforce equal rights and protections under the law for all citizens of Harnett County. Source, electregiwatson.com. We know we have a problem, and I hope that somewhere in your line item in your budget, you'll address the sewer system in the jailhouse. This weekend, for the umpteenth time, poop and urine and toilet paper flooded the cells in the men's section. I know it's happened in the women's section because Angela Scarborough talked about it happening there. Flooded the cells. The people in there were screaming for help. They were yelling for help. Calls, not just one, but a few calls came to my phone and said they have us trapped in here with sewage rising in the cells. So somewhere in your line item budget, I hope that you will include fixing the sewage system in the jailhouse. That is a crap house for more reasons than one at this point in time.
Thank you, Ms. Longman. That concludes everyone that has signed up to speak.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
Are there opportunities for those who didn't know about
we have a
signing
lady
up?
that got here late that wants
Are there opportunities for, I didn't know about the requirement to sign up.
Okay.
I apologize, I would have signed up. My name is Terry Manahan. I'm an employee of Harnett County, and I want to say, first of all, I'm taking personal leave to come here and speak to you. Second of all, I want to thank you for everything that you do for the employees. The reassessment of our positions, which resulted in a pay increase. Thank you very much. The opportunity for yearly increase through the promotions with a favorable review. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate that very much. I'm basically here to appeal on behalf of the foster care program. Excuse me, I'm a foster care family support worker with the Harnett County Department of Social Services in Children's Services. I'll have 19 years in at the end of this month. I'm going to be retiring soon, and I'm here to appeal to please fund more foster care positions. We have over 200 children now in foster care. When I first came 19 years ago, at one point there was a low of under 70. Now we have over 200 children in foster care. You have a letter from the state saying we need more foster care workers. Our workers have too many children on their caseload. We just had a worker to retire, bless her heart, after 20 years. All of her cases got shifted over to the other workers. So now each worker has all of her other cases on top of the ones that they already had. So I'm just here every year. Our director puts in a request for more foster care workers. At least in the past 3 to 5 years, those increases have been denied. I'm just here saying I'm going to be retiring soon. And again, I don't know when, but it will be soon. I wouldn't just want all my cases to go to the existing workers on top of everything else that they have. So I'm asking for you to consider, please fund more foster care workers to help with, because one of the main issues with an overload of cases is not that the work doesn't get done, but that we don't have adequate time to spend with our families and our children like we would like to. We have to rush on to the next case or the next family. So I'm just asking, please, consider this year funding more foster care workers. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Good morning. My name is Bobby Jordan. and I live on 630 Gilcrease Road in Johnsonville. It's a Cameron route. And we have traffic coming through that road from a lot of traffic coming from Fort Bragg. And it's dangerous. We got a lot of kids there. We got my neighbor got a daycare on that road. And I've seen what I thought would be an accident with the bus stopping there because the speed that they got going through there. I've been told it's 55 miles an hour. And normally if you got a 55 mile an hour, people take 60. The road is not quite a mile, 9/10 of a mile, because I used to walk it, but I had to stop because of the fast traffic that goes up and down that road. And I'm asking that the speed limit could be lower where it would be some safety, because I get ready to turn in my road to my home sometimes, and they're right on my bumper, and little road rage behind it. And also at the entrance of the road on that comes 24 pass by, it's kind of the entrance way is kind of like a fan, spread it out. The front part is wide. They come from towards Fort Bragg. If you're out trying to get in the road so you can see, and you get too far out there and you don't give them enough road to come in on a slant right in front of you. Sometimes several people have had conversation up there with people fussing and cussing because you too far out in the road. They won't go down to the entrance to come in on their side. They want to come across. And my daughter got cussed out up there one day, and they came on the right side of her because she didn't have enough room to cut across. So the people on Gilcrease Road, the resident there was asking that you would please lower the speed limit, and maybe somebody can come out and see what could be done about the entranceway of that road. Thank you so much.
Give me the name of that road again, please.
Gilchrist, Gilchrist.
Okay. Okay, all right. We have already talked with DOT and about that. They're going to look at lowering the speed limit. They may have to do a traffic study on that road, but
Yes.
it has been reported to DOT. I've talked to them on 2 different occasions about that. And we'll see what we can do about maybe getting the highway patrol and the sheriff to increase their patrol, maybe run a radar out there occasionally and slow some people down.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I do feel like we're going to have a problem right there at the entrance also.
Okay,
This is getting more and more. Thank you so much. Appreciate
thank you.
Mr. Sherman, sure. Like you said, that we had 30 minutes. Like, is it possible I speak just for 1 minute? Like, I left something out. That is real important.
We don't allow one time. I'm sorry. I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Okay, I just want to say this earlier. The sheriff that came out yesterday, and he told me that they had 3 deputies on duties for the whole west side of Hornet County, and as big as the west side of Hornet County, that's like putting in a 1,000 ambulance.
All right, at this time, we'll move on to, we'll close the public forum and move.
May I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
And again, I didn't get to sign up, but Mr. Johnson, they do have a problem. We've been dealing with it. I've been talking to Mr. Johnson and Ms. Johnson. We've made an arrest out there, but just so you'll know, sometimes we get some witnesses, but if they don't come forward, the DA won't prosecute it. But we are still working, and we've got some involved in that drive-by shooting that we've got targeted. But I wanted you to know what we've done. And then finally, as far as the jail incident, it was nothing but a sprinkler head got popped. All of y'all are familiar with our sprinkler heads getting popped. You don't get sewage from sprinkler heads. So it was no sewage, it was just sprinkler heads.
Yes, it was sewage, Sheriff. You know it was
Ms.
sewage.
Lyman, you're out of order.
He's out of order.
No, you're out of order.
He's out of order.
Moving to item 6, appointments. Do we have some appointments that we need to make? Do I hear a motion from any of the commissioners about these appointments?
Well, I can speak on one of them in my district. Mr. Frankie Spivey is looking to be reappointed to the Agricultural Board for District 5 position. I would request that be approved. I don't know if you would like a motion including any other vacancies.
Does anyone have any kind of objection to reappointing Ms. Barefoot to the Board of Health? Could you put that all in one motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to reappoint Ms. Emily Barefoot to the Board of Health, and also Mr. Frankie Spivey for the Agricultural Advisory Board for District 5.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries unanimously.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On the nursing home, community advisory committees, you have 5 vacancies there?
There are
Do
5
you have
vacancies. Yes, ma'am, but they have not started meeting yet
Okay.
because still due to COVID.
So is it in order, that I can appoint someone to that vacancy? If you got 5 open there?
Yeah, we need to, well, when they get ready to start meeting, fill those.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's my question.
All right. Moving to item 7, regarding the financing for Northwest Harnett Volunteer Fire Department. Trout, you want to address that?
Sure. Through the process that we can run through the county, we have the ability to issue pass-through bonds for the various organizations. And one of those organizations is for our volunteer fire departments. So with that, it's a process that will allow them to receive some benefit as it relates to the interest rate that they're able to gain by the sale of the bonds to finance their operation. This has been done in the past on fire stations, and so Mr. Prince is here for the fire department if he would like to make some comments.
Chief Prince, you have anything you'd like to say about this?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good morning. The only thing I'd like to add, if you look in your package at the cost of the station, we have been setting funds aside in the last few budget years, and we will only be financing 2.5, which is $1 million less that's on there. And we did not ask for a tax increase, and this station where the location is at is going to put everything on the south side of our district and the north side of our district. Everything in our district is going to be a Class 3 insurance because it's going to put everybody within 5 miles of a station. But like I said, we also have been setting money aside. We was hoping that it would be a couple years longer before we had to do that, but with all the growth and stuff, we had to go ahead and jump on it for different reasons.
All right, thank you, Mr. Prince. Any commissioners have any questions? All right, at this time, I will open up a public hearing to discuss this matter. If anyone would care to speak one way or the other.
Richard Chapman, 5220 Christian Light Road. I'm here to speak in favor of the proposal. I think it's a great idea. I think it's going to result in funding availability to the volunteer fire department that's going to be cheaper than they could otherwise obtain themselves. I think it's a great idea. It's much better to have a third fire station. So I'm all in favor of it. The issue, however, does raise another point that I think is relevant to discuss, and it's that I'd like to bring to your attention this morning. As you know, there are no public buildings in Northwest Harnett other than the fire station on Christian Light Road. That building is a beautiful building that has a wonderful meeting room, and that meeting room has been used frequently by local community groups that need a place to gather, by Commissioner Weatherspoon, who has conducted public meetings to meet and deal with voters at that location. The 401 Commission has met there. All kinds of governmental agencies and private groups have used that meeting space. It's wonderful. Chief Prince does a fabulous job in making it available both to the community and to government agencies, and I applaud him for that. The evidence of that is the fact that there are elections in that building. He has to clear out his fire trucks in order to accommodate voting machines and allow the electorate in Northwest Harnett to come in and vote. By the same token, the Baptist church next door has to provide parking for voters to come in. And I can tell you that on election days, there's a lot of people that come through those doors and a lot of parking. It's a little unnerving to think that democracy in Northwest Harnett depends on the graciousness of the fire chief and the goodwill of the Baptist church. But that's the reality. Will the next fire chief allow elections to occur in that fire station? I hope so, but perhaps not. If somebody were to be injured in the parking lot of the Baptist church, it's entirely possible that that church could say, sorry, we can't risk the liability, we're going to close our lot. In which case, voters would have no place to park except on Christian Light Road, and that would be a disaster. So the volunteer fire department is doing a wonderful job in catering to community needs. So when I heard about the new fire station, I was thrilled because the problem with the meeting area in particular is that it bumps up against Chief's obligation to train his people. That really comes first. And he has a lot of hours he's got to provide training for and a lot of use of that building. So when I heard about the third fire station, I thought, terrific. This is going to ease the situation. We can modify this building perhaps in some way that it could do double duty. It could meet some of the community meeting needs as well as be a viable fire station for the department. Terrific. So I contacted him last week and we had a discussion. It went very well, but he said, sorry, you're out of luck, too late. Steel's on its way. We're building this building and it's going. The good news is that there's a 20-person meeting area built into the design that will help a little bit in alleviating the conflict between the need to train and the desire of the community to have a place to meet and to gather. Instead of having one room that we have to kind of fight for, we're now going to have sort of a room and a half, maybe 2 rooms if you're charitable. That's going to help. But it seems to me that the moral of the story here is that any time a building project comes before y'all, it seems to me that we ought to have some criteria by which we can examine that project for multiple community uses in addition to just its specific intended use. Chief Prince just needs a fire station. That's foremost on his mind. The rest of the community welcome that, but they also need a gathering place. It seems to me that if you can gather that information early in the process, it might be possible to figure out some way to do double duty. Otherwise, you guys are going to have to build community centers in all 13 precincts, and you can't afford to do that. That's impossible. It would be easy, I think, for Mr. Trout's office to come up with a list of criteria that could be simply applied to whatever project comes before you, not with any intent to alter the project or impose your will, but simply to raise questions, to discuss it before the public, to ask about potential issues that might come up. For example, I'd like to know whether or not the new fire station is LEED certified. We need to be building green buildings in the future. Is this a green building or is it not? I don't know. Is this a hardened building such that in the event that this county gets pasted with a hurricane, it can serve as a shelter? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Or worse, a tornado, which can whip through some of these stick home projects that we're putting up like toadstools after a rain and cause real problems. Those are the kinds of things, in addition to community gathering points, that I think would be relevant to simply ask. You guys are the chief policymaking entity within this county. When you growl, people check their ankles. They listen. And simply by having discussions, asking questions, getting answers, not imposing will, but just doing that process, it alters people's thinking throughout the whole county. And I think there might be more consciousness raised throughout the county that yes, the projects that we undertake need to do double duty on behalf of the community in addition to what their intended use is for. It's just a suggestion. I think it would be beneficial public discussion that the community would enjoy. I think Mr. Trout is more than able to put together some kind of a criteria list. Perhaps it's already in the multitude of plans that we have on the books. I looked, but wasn't able to find anything. I suggest that if it's not there, we add some and apply it to projects that come through to our attention. Now, I realize this is another taxing agency and this is a specific use, that specific need that's being attended to today, and that's fine. But, you know, talk is the best solution to starting or the best vehicle to finding a way to solve problems going forward. I wish we had a little bit more of a discussion earlier on in the fire station process, but we didn't. Oh well, it's going to be a great facility. We'll try it next time. As I say, I'm in favor of the project. I think it's going to be good for Northwest Harnett. It's going to help solve the meeting problem a little bit. But I think we can learn a little bit of a lesson that might have more general applications going forward through this experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Chief Brents, would you like to address any of the concerns that Mr. Chapman expressed about the hardened building and those types of things? Are you in a position to do that? I know you have an architect and engineers that do all your design work.
Oh yeah, Profit Design Builder is the one that built our main station, and they're the same ones that we're contracting with on this one. They've got their own engineers and architects in-house, and just like the one that we built, I can't remember if they said it was 100-year building or whatever, but all the hurricanes and all that stuff, it's built like that, the best that you can build, you know, for those situations, disasters and all.
I'm sure they have to withstand a certain amount of wind force. And I know Carteret County requires a 150 mile an hour wind force. You have to have a building that will stand 150 mile an hour winds. I'm sure that theirs, so I don't know what their numbers are, but
yeah, it's all in there, you know, with what's required and everything else.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure, you know, as far as word for word, but I know everything that we talked about, he talked about is in that building. Bobbitt does a lot of fire stations, and they've done our first one, and they're fixing to do one, I think, for Fuquay in the near future, but they've got their stuff together with that.
All right. Thanks, sir. Anyone else wish to speak during this public hearing? Seeing no one come forward, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion concerning the approval of this TEFRA bond issue.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the financing for Northwest Hornet Volunteer Fire Department with the proceeds of certain tax-exempt obligations, proceeds which finance the cost of purchase of the new truck in News Station Number 3, be located at 8300 US 401 North Fuquay Marina, North Carolina.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the board? All right, all in favor of approving this, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carried unanimously. All right, Mr. Hall, we'll now talk about the tower agreement with Cloudwise and then have a public hearing on that.
Just got a quick review of what we're doing here. Let's see. Yeah, if you'll go up for me, thank you. All right. We're just talking about two of our county-owned towers. We're looking at an agreement between the county and Cloudwise. Cloudwise is our partner that we selected back in the RFP process in 2020. When in the RFP, we outlined the availability of all of our vertical access or assets, so they could have access to them to put wireless infrastructure as needed. So the two towers that we're talking about today are the Lillington and the Oak Ridge towers. Those are the two that we own. Just kind of pointing it out to you, just kind of a reminder. We've talked about this a few times over the year. Just narrow down on the Lillington tower. It's the one behind the emergency services. It's a Viper radio tower, communication tower. That's the address. It's a 380-foot tower. Both of these are 380 foot. Here's just a narrowed in picture right behind the emergency services building. And that's the actual tower standing up behind the emergency services building. The other tower is the Oak Ridge Tower, which replaced the Northwest Tower that we had about a year ago. We actually went online with that. So they're looking at using this tower. It's a 380-foot tower. The address is out there off Oak Ridge River Road. And it's, just kind of narrowed in again. It's right there in the corner of a piece of property that we have kind of allotted for a couple of different things, but we're able to put a tower in the back corner of it for our communication side of things. And that's just the picture of the tower itself. Just wanted to remind you of what Cloudwise will be putting out there, what we're kind of agreeing to allow them to do. They're just going to put a small building right beside of our shelter at each of these locations, and it'll house all their equipment, all their utilities, everything will be isolated to that. The antennas will be placed at different locations on each of the towers, depending on where the State Highway Patrol has infrastructure and where we have some other things out there. So just different footage, but this is just an example of what the antennas will look like hanging off the tower. And this is a kind of an aerial view looking down at the tower, how the antennas, gosh, my southern accent kicked in there. Antennas will be laid out and just the look and feel of them. Just a few things to kind of look over in the agreement. The reason why we're having to do a public hearing is we went to a 60-month agreement on this, and just to guarantee Cloudwise has ability to kind of get this stuff up and going without having to worry about us coming back and saying, hey, you can't be on there anymore, which we're not planning to do, but this just gives them a little bit more confidence, and that's why we're having to do a public hearing because of the 5-year length. After the 5 years, we'll do a 12-month automatic renewal. Right now, we're just charging a nominal fee of $50 a month, just to let them be on there and just make sure we're all on the same page, and we can charge anybody else the same fee if they desire to get on these towers, and we're able to allow them to. CloudWise will of course maintain all the stuff that they put in, and have their contractors install, maintain, remove any equipment for this whole project. So it'll be nothing for the county to do other than just kind of provide a spot for them to sit. And let's see, and then CloudWise will pay for any utilities, specifically power. So, and that just kind of go back to the original phase 1 drawing of this thing. These 2 towers are kind of pointed out there. The nice purple, pink, red dots are the people that are going to be covered, the residents, the businesses that are underneath those towers. So just kind of a reminder of what we're doing here. All right. That's just a quick overview. Any questions from me?
Any questions for Mr. Hall?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't quite understand exactly the location of the Oak Ridge Tower. Where is it located? What part of the county? Is it in the western part of the county?
Northwest.
Yeah, let me go back.
Northwest part?
It's that green arrow pointing down at the dot. Do you see that? That's kind of where
Yeah.
it's sitting at, right in that
Oh,
area.
it's in the northwestern part of it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And these 2 towers we're talking to them about because these are the county-owned ones. They're looking at other towers on the north side too, but we don't own them. So these are the only 2 that we're dealing with that we own.
That. Thank you. I just wanted to know.
Sure.
Because I was understanding that I know it's going to be here in Littleton on Evans Brothers Road, but I want to know exactly the location of the other tower.
Right. Yeah, that's why I did these little maps, and I probably went a little too fast on that one.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any more questions for Mr. Hall? If not, I will open the public hearing concerning this tower agreement with CloudWise. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come forward. Seeing no one coming forward, I'll close the public hearing. And I will entertain a motion from the board concerning this 5-year agreement with 12-month extensions.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to make an agreement with CloudWise for 16 months for a tower agreement on these 2 towers.
Mr. Chairman, I gladly second that motion because this is something we all are very pleased to see happen here in this county.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries unanimously. All right, at this time, we will talk about our FY 22-23 county budget. Mr. Trout.
Thank you, Chair, Board. This is the opportunity for the public to speak regarding our budget. So we'll have a public hearing. There are a couple of items that once the public hearing is completed, then I will discuss with you that are items that have been part of the discussion all along that I need some direction on. Not necessarily a decision today because there is no vote, but I would like some guidance as we enter into the final stages of finalizing this budget. And it is important that we take a look at those items in order to ensure that we have the budget set the way you would like it as we enter into the vote on the June 20th meeting. So I'll address those once the public hearing is complete.
Any commissioners have any comments before we go to the public hearing? The spreadsheet that we have
Yes.
on the fire tax, can we make that available?
I didn't send it to you. I can send it to the clerk and she can put it up.
Okay.
Actually, we can pull it up on the page number here.
Huh? Are you connected there? We'll work on it. We'll get it
Okay.
set up.
I mean, we
That's
don't
one
have
of
to
the
do it
items
right
we
now.
discussed.
Yeah. All right, at this time, I will open the public hearing concerning the FY 22-23 Harnett County budget. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward. State your name and address, please.
Don Beasley, 1693 Hodges Chapel Road, Benson, North Carolina. Speaking on behalf of the Aversboro District, it has to do with the tax situation we've got in Aversboro District that nobody else in the county has. In the last 15 years, this is as far back as they would go, they have been $3,260,000 collected out of just the Aversboro District, going to the city schools in Dunn. They created this district in 1947. It was the Dunn School District. When Triton was built and we all went to one county system, the tax district was changed, not from the Dunn School District tax. It was changed to the Aversboro special tax. There is no Aversboro tax. This was the Dunn School District tax. And we've had I think a $1.4 billion land evaluation from this last reval we had. So right now, some up towards $350,000 a year to collect. And I do happen to have a map here. Well, I don't have. But anyway, just in case somebody you guys don't realize how small a place that we're getting this much money from is that little dot on the corner right there. That's Aversboro District. That's the Aversboro District. When they do the check registers for the school thing, they don't use this. They don't have the school. They don't publish this information for these schools. It's our opinion that some of this money, or I don't know, I'm just saying, some of this money is being used in ways that probably could be used other ways. Personally, we feel that this is an illegal tax. It was voted on in 1947 with less than 300 people. 190 something voted for it. 72 voted against it and 52 didn't vote. That was in 1947. Since then, nobody's had the choice to say whether they want it or don't want it. But personally, I do feel that this tax is not a legal tax in the view of the fact that it was Dunn School District tax and not Aversboro, which is what it's called now. And in the event we can't do anything about that, we're asking for the school board to do a check register and show where the money is being spent, just like to do the rest of the schools, on other school funds. This money is collected through property tax to the to the Harnett County Tax Department. This money is handed over to the school board. Some of you folks may not have known anything about this tax. I know one individual said he didn't know anything about it, but it's been going on a long time. And if we're going to get our money spent, we need to know how and where it's spent, and if it's being spent in the right way. Not saying it's not, but I do know that I've asked for information I've not received, and of course that's still ongoing. I had a few things I've had to do, but anyway, I don't know how that would affect the tax rate revaluation in the Aversboro District. But keep in mind that we do pay more tax, and I just don't understand why we're paying tax that nobody else in the county pays. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else?
My name is Edward Hardy. I live at 3509 Christian Light Road, Fuquay, Marina, which is in Harnett County. That's a Fuquay address. Never quite figured that out. But anyway, I looked up your budget, and I agree with you most items. Something I may disagree with. But with 55% of the revenue coming from ad valorem, or what I call property tax, the problem is Harnett County is forcing citizens to pay tax on property they do not own. I'll give you an example. At the top of the tax card, if you go online and look at it, there's each parcel in the parcel acres has a deed or survey parcel number listed on it. On the right-hand side, there's a GIS acres listed. The GIS acres and the surveyed acres do not match. One of the examples is I have several parcels of that road, but on a small parcel, it's according to a 2013 survey, it's 3.95 acres. It's out in the middle of a field. I rent it. They tend land on all around it, but the GIS listed is 4.05. Now that's small. That's only like 0.115 acres, but at $12,780 per acre, and your proposed 0.591 per $100 value, that comes out to $8.69 that I'm going to be paying on land that I can't use, I can't rent, and I can't sell. So I don't see how that's helping the citizens in Harnett County with this problem. Now, I've got a farm on about 50, it was supposed to be 56 acres in it. They claimed it's 57.5. And using the acreage for the non-ag and ag uses per together, because it's under the ag program, it would cost me $20.64 a year more on that land, because they have said that I have got inherited or all of a sudden come into 1.43 acres, which I don't know where it's at. Now, my neighbor's happy. He's lost 1.43. He ain't got to pay taxes on it. So he's doing well. But will I be able to rent these extra acres? Will I be able to sell them? Will I be able to have use of them? And how does the county programs figure in this? Is this going to figure on the ag programs? Do they use these figures to work with the programs to figure out the allotments or whatever? So I have called the tax department after I received a letter in March and or April, I'm not sure which, and was able to look at the tax cards online. And I called the tax department and told them this, and they said it was not their problem. They referred me to GIS department. GIS said the tax department was the county department that was in charge of determining the acres to be taxed. I again called the tax department and was told to submit an appeal, which I did. On May the 24th, I received an email from Jeff Connor stating that the best course of action would be to contact GIS Mapping. And he gave me a phone number, 910-893-7520. That is not the GIS, that's the tax department. So when I called, I got back to the tax department again and was given another runaround. Nobody can answer my questions or solve my problems. Last week, the GIS department left a message on my phone. They had changed my acres to make them equal. I looked online as of Friday, this past Friday. My acres is not changed. I'm still listed, my tax is still listed like the GIS acres. Don't know what's happening there. I will say there's one man, Mr. Clinton Williams, and I don't know where I'll be knowing if I'd see him. He's head of the GIS department. He has been very helpful. And he even told me on the phone, he may not admit it, that he did not agree with the way that the tax was being taxed on GIS acres, and tried to explain to me how GIS was trying to adjust for degrees and movement of the earth and all that stuff, which is way above me. But anyway, so I've talked with the landowners, not just my problem. Everybody's having the same problem. It seems like people don't even know about it. They don't look it up. But some will be paying taxes for land they do not own, while others will not be paying taxes on land they do own. So my question is this legal? It's definitely not ethical or fair. And I thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
Good morning. I'm Joe Langley, Harnett County resident living in Andrew, and I want to thank the board for allowing me to speak regarding the Harnett County 2022-23 budget proposal. I recently viewed the May 31st joint meeting between the Board of Education and the County Commissioners. And during that meeting, the superintendent made two requests related to the 2022-23 budget. They were as follows. First one was a request to fund the current local appropriated budget at $24.7 million, which, and I quote the superintendent, represents our current local appropriation that we are working under that was invested by you, our commissioners, for 2021, 2022, the current year, end quote. This one sentence was the only explanation for the spending of 24.7 million taxpayer dollars. The second part of the request was 1.5 million in additional current local expenses. The superintendent stated the following details to support this funding. First was an increase in capital outlay for school safety, which we would certainly all agree with. Second was charter school expense. And third was a modest supplement, teacher supplement increase. The superintendent stated that for every 1% increase in teacher supplements, it would cost the county nearly $1 million. He further said that Harnett County was losing teachers to Wake County because they paid a much larger supplement, and that to raise our teachers to a comparable supplement would require $8 million in new funding from the county. With the superintendent's statement in mind, why does the Board of Education not provide any detail to the county commissioners and the public on the proposed $24.7 million current local appropriation? Without this information, there is no way county commissioners could know that additional supplement for our teacher and staff could only be funded through new money. I'm requesting that the Harnett County Commissioners, through the Finance Office of the Harnett County Board of Education, provide taxpayers a detailed accounting of where $24.7 million of taxpayer funds are being spent in the proposed 2022-23 budget before you vote on the budget on June the 20th of 2022. Upon review of this information, the county commissioners can make an informed decision to provide funding to give our teachers and support staff additional supplements without increasing the tax burden on our citizens. And one final note, as of about 5 minutes ago, the current vacancies at the Harnett County Board of Education, there's 177 vacancies. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
My name is Margaret Martin, 86 Gwendolyn Way. I'd like to talk about the school budget, and I do so as a mom and as a grandmother. A few weeks ago, you had a young lady at this podium talking in a public hearing for a special land use permit for a development to come in with medium density neighborhood. And she spoke about the school overcrowding from her perspective. I could not be more proud. I wasn't able to attend that meeting. I was watching in home and I had tears. I was so proud of her. I actually reached out to her and I told her this. I don't know what we're going to do as a county, as parents, as citizens, grandparents. We have, and this is conservative, over 20,000 permitted lots in the county right now with no end in sight. We have the municipalities pointing the finger back at the county for funding schools. Lillington is approving satellite annexations as well as Andrews doing the same thing because obviously coming here we have the water capacity permitting and they're requesting higher density rezoning for, we have the neighborhood off Matthews Road, right behind the asphalt plant, 5 homes per acre. That's crazy. That is 2 or 3 children coming to each of those homes, coming to our county. We all know we're going to be in a deficit per child in our budget. What is the answer? You know, Lillington performed a traffic impact study. Where's the school impact study? You guys had a work session last week with the school. At this point, you all need a summit. Bring in those kids and teachers that have to learn in huts. I had no idea they were going through that. We're adding Band-Aids, whether it be year-round schools, fix the zip code issue, get more money for military kids. It seems to me it needs everyone sitting down at the table and coming up with some workable solutions. I personally don't mind the extra $45 I'm going to be paying in taxes a month, but that's a drop in the bucket. Why are these developers coming in and not paying their fair share? We have a big problem and it's going to implode, and our kids and grandkids are going to suffer. Right now, it's set for them to sit on top of each other. Whether it be year-round schools, whatever the solution is, please sit down, have conversations, and figure out what solutions, because I'm pretty sure it's not just one solution to fix this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one else come forward, I'll close the public hearing. And Mr. Trout, would you like to address some of these concerns that have come up?
Sure, I will attempt to do it, and then if there are any additional comments that Budget Director Lisa McFadden can provide, I'll allow her to as well. Regarding the Aversboro District, I know that that's there, and that is an item that is different than other areas. I'm not sure regarding the process that would be required in order to make that change. I'm not familiar with that as it comes to North Carolina law, so we could address that at a separate point. Related to the GIS and Harnett tax issues that were brought up, I'll continue to work with tax and GIS to make sure that we're validating those parcels to ensure that they're set the way they should be. Related to the school issues, that is one of the items that we have before us that we need to decide. As it was mentioned, there was a request for just under 1.3 million in additional funds from the school in order to pay for various items that they recommended related to staffing issues, classified and also in teachers. And so that is an item that was not included in the budget when I presented it to the board. It was an item that, given its price tag, I felt should be considered by the board. At this point, as I look at it, with the amount of carryover funds that were fund balance that we're utilizing, to add that to the budget would require us to raise the levy rate approximately 1 cent. It would be 1 cent generates about 1.3 million, so that matches with where we're at in their request. So that's something that the board would need to discuss. It can be decided at when you have that discussion as to whether you want to proceed and add that or not. The other item that I have as it regards to, we do have a plan as it relates to funding to be able to build schools in the future. And so that is something that at some point we continue to receive reports from the school district as it relates to their tier 1 issues, tier 2 and tier 3. A very plan, as I mentioned a week ago, about 277 million in school construction projects, and we have 320 million over the next 20 years that we feel that can be utilized without raising taxes. And so that is where we start, and school continues to apply for grant funding from the state in order to be able to assist with the building of those schools, and that's their plan going forward. And they feel a lot more confident about their chances next year as in regard to the grant funding that they could receive for the school that they applied for this year and weren't successful. The last item that I have is we received some additional information from the tax department, Bill Tyson provided, that shows, and that is what's on your screen now, the information as it relates to what new revenues will be received by each fire district from the valuation that increased within their district. when we made our initial proposal to you, we looked at basically having the same valuation, carrying over what that revenue would produce, and then the three departments that requested an increase, what that increase would be just on using the same valuation. As you can tell from this chart, this table, it shows significant amounts. 1 second here. The requested amount, if you had regarding the Andrew Black River, with their request of 3 cents, it was going to, on the same valuation, was going to generate $278,253. As you can tell, just from new valuation, they're going to capture $328,523, so more than the 3 cents would create. In regards to the Boone Trail, the new valuation generates $121,111. Their request, with what we had provided for them with the 2 cents, was $180,374. Actually, they were 3 cents, weren't they, Lisa? Lisa, weren't they 3 cents, Boone Trail?
Yes.
Yeah, so they were 3, and actually Andrew Black River, it was 2 cents. My apologies, got them mixed up. So they will, from new valuation, to be able to, they produce approximately 2/3 of what the cents increase would be. And then as it relates to the last one, West Area Fire had a discussion with the fire chief down there, and based on their plans for the future with looking to add firemen, another fireman full-time there, they need the additional funding. I agreed that I would do 2 cents. They had requested 5 cents. I agreed to work towards what they're looking at and to be a part of that, to look at providing them 2 cents, which would have generated $10,369. Just from new valuation, they're going to increase to $12,320. So as you can tell, the new valuation is actually providing close to or more, or in one case, almost the amount that they were going to need by increasing the levy rate. So I think we may be actually in a better spot and not need to do that increase in taxes. And so that's something that I leave for you to discuss as to your choice as to how you would like to handle that. But this information definitely puts it in a better light than what we thought. And as you can tell, the other fire departments are listed there. Those are the amounts that they'll receive in addition, which I'm sure they'll be happy to use, because I'm sure their expenses, as generally ours are going up, and they'll put that money to good use. And with that, Lisa, was there anything else we needed to cover this morning?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And I'll stand for questions.
Any questions for Mr. Trout? Or any comments concerning the, any of the items he's addressed or the fire tax?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a comment. I understand the request that I believe Dr. Fleming brought for the 1.3, I believe you mentioned, basically to implement a salary or to fully fund a salary scale for classified employees for the school system. Just as a point of reference, we have both classified and certified positions in the school system. Certified would be teachers, administrators, et cetera, who are paid for with state funds. The exception would be supplements, which would be county generated, which we would agree to fund if possible. On the other hand, we have classified staff, custodians, bus drivers, teacher assistants, et cetera, that are not state funded, that it's the responsibility of county to provide funding for those people. I could not help but listen to Mr. Monahan, who came this morning to talk with us about his desire to see some increased funding with foster care, but also mentioned his thanks for the established, how did he put it, scale and annual adjustments that have been put in place in this budget for county employees. I think it's important that we remember these classified folks in the school system are county employees as well. So basically what we've chosen to do, should we continue on this road and not meet the needs to fully fund the classified salary scale for employees who work for the school system but are paid by us, is that we've chosen one group of employees to try to put on a scale and to fully fund that scale with incentives for years of work and continuing to work and be loyal employees, for another group of employees that we're ignoring. And as for me, I would not be able to sit by and do that. I think we need to find a way, if we're going to put this in place for where we have a scale for employees who work directly for the county, then those employees that we fund that work directly for the school system, we need to be able to fund a scale for them as well. And saying that, let me say that I'm certainly not in favor of raising taxes. So I know it's a fine line, but I think it's something we really need to look at.
Understood.
Well, we've talked about the need to retain employees. And this is certainly the opportunity to do something about that.
That's true, Chairman Witherspoon, and I think Mr. Langley mentioned 177 vacancies when he had last looked. I don't know how many of those are classified vacancies, but since that is basically the area I oversee and my responsibilities with the school system, I can tell you that a number of them are classified vacancies where our directors are finding it difficult to compete in an already thin workforce availability to be able to hire individuals to fill custodial, TA, bus driver, child nutrition, those types of jobs. I will say that this is something that I know our board being the Board of Education, has worked hard to address as well. So I don't know what the answer is, but I do think we do not need to ignore this group of employees as we go through with our planning.
Additional comments? Yes, ma'am.
Maybe out of order, but it's in my heart and it's on my mind. Say this. We had the discussion and we had the meeting with the school board on last week. And when you're talking about employees, classified employees for non-classified employees for the school, as well as county employees, I have made my position very clear on these two issues. Employees of this county, whether you're for the school, working for the school, or whether you're working for the county, we must find a way to pay our employees a decent wage. We're losing school employees, school teachers and all, simply because they're going to different counties, surrounding counties, that pay them more. I even went as far as to ask the school board. I know they've gotten funds from the feds, and I've even talked to Brooks about this. If the county as well as the school board need to come together, if there are funds that came into this county through federal programs and all, we must look at those programs and see if there's any money there, extra money there, to solve this problem. We cannot continue to lose our non-classified workers as well as our county employees, because we're not doing nothing but becoming a clearinghouse for hiring employees. And let me tell you this, we're losing more money than we are saving. So I'm hoping that we as the county commissioners and the school board take this very serious and try to find a way to meet the needs of both non-classified. A lot of people get confused on this because I've been in meetings where people talking about non-classified and as well as classified. State pays our teachers. County don't pay the teachers. A lot of people don't understand that. But now, when non-classified employees, they're just as valuable as the classified employees. So that's all I gotta say. And I've made this statement on more than one occasion, but I'm very passionate about it.
Without those classified individuals, we'd have a hard time operating the schools
Exactly.
because they'd be so cluttered up with trash and everything else that you wouldn't be able to get in. I think we need to, and, you know, we've done a lot for the employees in other departments, other areas. I think we owe it to these employees to try to figure out a way to retain them and compensate them.
Especially when several of them either work as bus drivers and then they'll go and do their janitorial shift or lunch, full lunch duty. And then they go back right out there to drive again and not compensating them or paying them fair wages when these people, they do it because they love the kids and love what they do. And that only lasts so long, especially when they can't take care of their own family. Definitely has been a point of comment across this whole board throughout the last couple of years. So.
And Mr. Chairman, I just want to add this. After this discussion I had in the meeting last week with the superintendent, he is much in agreement with working with us to try to find these funds if they are available.
From what I'm hearing from the board, Mr. Trout, I'd like to ask you and Ms. McFadden to take a hard look at this, come up with a proposal for our work session on the 13th.
Yep.
And, if we may not be able to do it all this year, it might be that I don't want to get into conjecture and maybes, but there are some other alternatives that we could consider.
Understood. We'll take a look at it.
All right. Anyone have any questions or comments about the spreadsheet that Ms. McFadden and Mr. Trout have presented on the fire tax? Any comments concerning that?
Mr. Chairman, I don't mean to dominate discussion this morning, but I would like to thank whomever came up with the idea of looking into this to see what the reevaluation was going to generate without any increase in that fire tax. For those of you that did that work, I appreciate that. This very valuable information will certainly help us, I believe, to make a better informed decision going forward.
Well, to be quite honest, I have a very hard time supporting this year, especially with all the projections for a major recession in the fourth quarter. I have a hard time supporting any kind of a tax increase anywhere. Sometimes we just have to tighten our belt and find another way. So I would like to, can we add the discussion on the fire tax to the work session for Monday?
Yes.
Anything else for staff? All right, hearing nothing else, Mr. Trout, we'll do the county manager's report at this time.
Thank you, Chair. This morning, you see the reports that are included in your packet with the budget amendments, comments regarding spring litter sweep impact, and then Veteran Services Activity Report. Reminder, as it was just mentioned, that our next meeting is June 13th, not June 14th, as it's normally scheduled. That's in order for the county officials to be able to attend Assembly Day up in Raleigh. And that's all I have, Chair.
All right. And I think we had one item added to the agenda under new business. Mr. Smith, you want to address this?
Good morning. This one will be pretty quick. This is a permit request, a fireworks permit request for Carolina Lakes for July 3rd at 9:15, and this is going to be done by Pyro Shows East Coast. They met all the requirements, the permit requirements, and their insurance requirements also. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Smith? Did I hear a motion to approve or deny this request?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve this request for the fireworks show in Carolina Lakes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carried unanimously. I believe we have a need for closed session.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would move that the board go into closed session for the following purposes: to consult with the county's legal counsel in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege concerning the handling of certain litigation and claims, including the following cases: workers' compensation claim of Donald Knight, IC file numbers 20-036208 and 20-020814. 2, Leslie Atkinson versus Credit Acceptance Corporation et al., U.S. District Court number 122-CV-369, and number 3, Toby McDuffie versus Dr. Wade et al., U.S. District Court file number 522-CV3112.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of going into closed session, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? We're in closed session. We will go back into open session. I think we have amendment to our motion.
Yes, Chairman Witherspoon, I would like to amend my motion to go into closed session to include a discussion of possible acquisition of real property.
Second.
Have a motion and an amended motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.